Argus off deck. Copy. Possible to see the sensors? Sound speed? Yep. Thanks. Thank you. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Oh, right there. Did it actually start? In high-back plan or high-back survey? Okay, there we go. Oops. Okay, yeah, okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then trail source is bedrock. Ready for control. Bumped. Okay. Okay, perfect. let's just let you know the bridge multi-beam was registering a little shallow, or echo sounder was a little shallow. So, but not accurate, yeah. Good morning, science. Heard you getting set up earlier.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning. We are at about 140 meters heading down, and wanted to take the time to go over a quick overview of our first couple of targets. We're heading down to AH first. We'll get calibrated, our system's calibrated on the bottom, and then prepare to start exploring these waypoints as we follow the ridgeline east. So I want to confirm that we want to move to AI next, and then
Yes.
AJ.
Correct. And Lizzie, who wrote the dive plan, will likely be joining us as well, so we'll have plenty of guidance. But yes, the plan is still the same.
Roger, thank you. And who do we have on shore today? Or this morning?
We've got Kurt Whitmire and Erica Frew and Lisa Wunick and Tom Leidig.
Fantastic.
I'm Abby in Sci 2.
Oh, yes, I'm Diana. We're home too.
Perfect.
It feels like we're out there with you, but we're actually in our homes.
I've certainly turned around in the seat to look back at the science row and not seen anyone there. So we can do some quick intros here so we get to know everyone. I'm Samantha Wishnak, navigator for H12.
And I'm Bob Waters. I'm the Herc pilot.
I'm Paul Glick. I'm the Argus pilot.
This is Al Santos, video engineer.
And in the data logger seat in the back row, I'm Steve Oskovich.
Chad King from Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary.
Great. And this is Di Waters. I'm in Mountain View at my home.
And Abby and Saitu, I'm in Seattle.
And we are all on Nautilus. Currently south of Anacapa Island for the folks watching at home.
Yes, we're just south of Anacapa Island, and this dive is planned to start at about 605 meters, and we're now at almost 200 meters depth on our way down.
So this is a dive that hopefully will take us through some areas where we found corals last year during one of the express dives, a little bit north of this site.
Yeah, and so on this dive, we're going to be performing some quantitative transects as well as collecting specimens of corals and sponges as we see them, and we have a whole list of things to collect. But we'll also be conducting these transects during which we'll be on a steady course trying to keep a consistent height off the bottom, and those will be conducted for about 200 to 250 meters. And the purpose of those is to get counts of the animals that we see in the transect, and then we can calculate densities of them for comparison with other areas.
Al, would it be possible to get the HYPACK map up on one of the channels, please?
Are we seeing pyrosomes, Abby? Looks like it.
They look pretty small, but they could be.
For those watching, the two lines that are coming to a point are lasers that help us estimate the size of things. Right now they're sort of going off into the space of the ocean, but when we get to the bottom, we'll see the laser dots at the end of them, and they're spaced 10 centimeters apart, or roughly 4 inches.
So the fact they're glowing does make me think they might be pyrosomes. So the name pyrosome comes from the Greek meaning fire body. They're also sometimes known as sea pickles. If you see them close up, they're kind of bumpy.
They're
pelagic
like
tunicates. Little colonial organisms. We've had some huge blooms of them off the west coast the past few years, especially 2017.
Yeah, we've seen a few this year in Pioneer Canyon. Not sure if any of the Olympic Coast dives also spotted them.
Do you know, I don't think that didn't stand out to me. I don't think we saw, not like this anyway. And we certainly weren't seeing lots of them on the bottom.
Yeah, definitely not like 2017. That was incredible volume.
It was just every anemone seemed to be feeding on one. We saw them like the Paralia jellyfish grabbing them in their tentacles, and the pink urchins feeding on them too. They clearly had a big impact on the ecosystem that year.
Abby and I are both with the National Marine Fisheries Service, otherwise known as NOAA Fisheries. I'm in the Santa Cruz lab, and Abby is up in Seattle. And my lab's West Coast juvenile rockfish survey caught lots of pyrosomes in recent years as well, and another indication of the huge populations of them that we've seen recently.
Yeah, so I'm a contractor, and usually I'm working on the analysis of data collected by AUV, and we just saw so many of these pyrosomes on the seabed. So this is once the pyrosomes are not kind of dead and dying on the bottom. So we were very interested in looking at counts of pyrosomes during that time. So we were able to develop a sort of an AI detector to automate counting some of them.
AI being artificial intelligence, the new way of doing things, for many things being developed, and Abby's been working on that quite a bit with other organisms as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, the pyrosomes were kind of tricky because they're quite hard to make out on the bottom. Even a person looking at an image, they're quite translucent. So it did take a little while to get it to work, but it was pretty successful in the end. Yeah. Some of the other organisms we've been trialing it on are the things that we wouldn't usually count by hand in the imagery. So we really tend to focus on fish and some of the bigger habitat structure forming inverts like hard corals, gorgonians, and sponges. But there are other things down there that have an important role in the ecosystems, but we wouldn't necessarily count by hand. So things like the fragile pink urchins. So we have a detector for those, and we've also been trialing it on flatfish because in the AUV images they really stand out very clearly because we have a sort of bird's eye view of the seabed, and that's been not particularly great to species level, but certainly for getting some basic counts of flatfish seems to work okay. It's a work in progress.
Abby is part of a team that operates an AUV, an autonomous underwater vehicle, which is not tethered. It's programmed to pass over a course at a constant elevation above the seafloor, and it takes pictures, still photos, how often?
Probably about every 6 to 8 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's what she means, that by a bird's eye view, it's looking down on the seafloor as it does its survey work.
Mm-hmm. It's the AUV is called Popoki, and it's a seabed type bottom tracking AUV. So it has 2 pontoons, which create this very stable platform for taking imagery. It was quite fun in 2017. We actually took Popoki out on the Nautilus, so we're kind of able to work in tandem with Herc and Argus. So using the AUV to go and survey certain lower relief areas, and then working with the Nautilus ROV to go and survey some of the higher relief rocky habitats and collect some samples, which is something that you can't do with the AUV, and the ROV is fantastic for.
Robert, could you tell us a little more about Hercules, and Paul, perhaps about Argus?
What would you like to know about Hercules?
Well, some of the basics. How long has it been in operation, and its depth,
well, I might not be
depth
absolutely right on that number. I think somewhere in 15 years, perhaps. Something like that.
Uh-huh.
Sam might know better.
Yeah, I think Argus and Herc were built in 2002, 2003.
Okay. And its maximum depth capability is
Currently on a 4,000
sure.
meter
for the,
cable, and then there's, I believe, a 30-meter tether between Argus and Herc right now.
and Herc and Argus are the names of the two remotely operated vehicles that we're using on this dive, just for folks that aren't familiar with the shortened names. So Hercules is the main ROV that we'll be viewing the seafloor with, and then Argus is a secondary, correct me if you guys, if I say something wrong. Argus is a secondary ROV that looks down upon Hercules, and its view can be viewed on channel 2, I believe, and sometimes that view is quite interesting to see from above.
That's exactly right. And if folks watching at home want to get a lot of details about Hercules and Argus, on the Nautilus Live website under Science and Tech, you can see all of the vital stats about both vehicles. Hercules is about the size of a minivan, and Argus is about half that size. And Argus floats above Hercules as a stabilizing mechanism. So Hercules can fly around on the seafloor and be able to perform pretty delicate maneuvers, collect samples, pick up rocks, things like that, while Argus kind of taking out the motion of the ship by being a stabilizer in between Hercules and Argus, and then also providing an eye-in-the-sky view. So both vehicles always dive together. Argus can go on its own, but Hercules will always dive with Argus.
So those of us at home have been waiting with bated breath because we heard that something had happened on Argus, and the team on Nautilus had been frantically doing repairs, and we weren't sure whether you were going to have to go to shore to get certain parts. But could you summarize? Could you give us a little description of what was actually happening?
I can give you the brief overview while the ROV team's getting set up. We were on a dive in Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary at the Octopus Garden, looking for some instruments that we had dropped last year, and there was a ground fault and a leak that was detected in Argus. We immediately came back up to the surface and were able to recover both vehicles. And yeah, the ROV team has had a heroic 3 days of working through the day, through the night, pretty much nonstop in order to get the vehicle back up and running. We actually did stop at Catalina Island for some parts that were brought from the shore from by one of our team members. And I believe the team basically rebuilt the entire flooded electronics bottle that one of the main electronics bottles, one of the two main bottles on Argus. So pretty heroic effort, definitely back in the water far sooner than expected. And as you can imagine, the team's pretty closely monitoring how Argus is performing now. We did do one in-water test a couple days ago, and that was successful, and that's why we're able to dive today. ROV team, anything I left out?
Yeah, the dive the other day was just to re-verify that we had our pressure integrity, because the bottle had flooded with seawater, so we had to figure out what caused that and then remedy it, and then send the bottle down basically empty, just to verify that if we replaced all the electronics inside there, it wouldn't flood again. So.
Amazing.
Yeah, definitely amazing. The team is, I think everyone is impressed on Ship and Shore that that was completed in the time that we had. Round the clock work.
Yeah, so for people at home, all the electronics on these vehicles, or at least I'm talking from the AUV, are protected in these casings that are sealed with series of O-rings. And yeah, having a flood and anything that contains electronics is kind of a nightmare. So yeah, really impressive that it's back up and running in such a short time.
And as is the case with most research cruises, the personnel, scientists, and technical staff have to be on their toes and ready for anything that might happen. So there are a lot of precautions taken prior to the cruise, and this cruise in particular is we're doing things a little bit differently because of COVID-19, and so almost all of the scientists that are participating in this cruise are on shore and working virtually as we are right now, which is pretty amazing when you think of the technology that is making this possible, both for us to participate as scientists and for you at home who are watching.
So we're getting close on depth, right? That's not a
Yeah.
wrap.
That is not a wrap. Yeah, judging by this.
Yeah.
All right,
Usually
looks
when it's a really sharp line there, then it's not a wrap. You know?
Yeah.
It's a fuzzy background. So you can stop at 30.
all right, so shore team, we're looking close to the seafloor here. So the pilots are going to get set up when we get on the bottom. We'll do some calibration of the USBL
Get your altimeter on.
system and camera, and then we'll start heading on our way to A1, or AI, excuse me.
Roger that.
Sounds good.
Roger that.
I want to confirm that there's this ridge line
might
here
be a-
that we're seeing on HIPAC.
Not picking up any.
Are we thinking that we want to follow a particular contour line
I've
or
noticed
follow depth?
These GUI numbers are
Yeah.
kind
I'm
of
gonna
garbage
zoom
until
in
we're
on-
close.
Oh, well, now we got. Now I'm picking up bottom. Wasn't picking up bottom. Usually, well, it must be a muddy bottom or something. Usually I pick it up at like 80.
Hmm.
But yeah. So you can come, I'll stop at 30 anyway.
At Herc's 30? Or
And,
Argus?
yeah, Argus. Just off of.
Yeah, yeah.
On the dive plan, it basically mentions trying to stay a little bit deeper, so we do gradually ascend, but I think we wanted to stay as deep as possible because that was beyond the depths for previous vehicles that have been in this particular area.
Right. I was trying to look at the HIPAC screen and also
Okay,
the dive
I'll stop.
plan, and yeah,
Roger.
because we want to stay as deep as possible and kind of work our way east. There is mention of a ridge at the beginning. We'll see if that's actually there, ground truth it, and then make our way.
Roger.
Our wraps are zeroed out properly, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Turning on auto heading.
Why don't you spin around to face me?
Copy that.
There's a Dumbo in Argus cam. Some kind of squid, octopus. Just missed it.
Okay.
There it is.
And then let's come down some.
You're descending too until you see the bottom.
Yep.
On bottom.
Sorry for my typing.
Sorry, what? Yeah, I can barely hear you. So it is powered up, so you should be, and Ethernet's on, so you should. Okay.
Yeah, it is powered on.
You turn the porch light on.
Yep.
Want to zoom in on that? Is that good? You need it down more. Oops. Oops, sorry.
We good for a DVL reset there, Robert?
Yeah, you can do it.
Looking good.
I'm good with the camera.
You happy, Clam Al?
I am, thank you.
Hi, Lizzie, I can hear you. It's Di.
Just so you know, Lizzie, we can't hear you, though. You're on Nautilus.
All right, where are we going?
Ready to go? 085.
085.
Bridge nav.
I'll come around the other way.
30 meters, 085.
Oh, can
I'm going to come around the other I don't know. Yeah.
Bob, I pushed the camera in, zoomed in just a little bit past the junk.
Yeah. Just get the good shot. I'll live with it.
Science, we're moving a little northeast here to see if this is indeed a ridge. We can stop and look around at any time. Just let me know and I will hold position.
Roger that.
Visibility is not so good today.
No, and hopefully as we make our way, it'll improve. We're on some soft sediment here with pretty typical soft sediment animals, and we'll be making our way towards some features that we've seen on the map. We've have not dived on this particular route before, which is one of the reasons we're doing it.
What happened there? Dang it. I accidentally hit my knuckle against it.
Oh no.
Touch
Problems
screens on
with
a,
touch screen.
yeah, on a moving vessel.
Okay, how about Nautilus?
Gotcha.
Sweet.
So we're pretty stretched out here.
Yeah.
What do we think about this hard return in Argus? It's a weird shape.
I'd say, yeah, I don't know, just noise.
I think we're also about to fly away from it based on Bob's heading. Because I'm going to spin around, so.
Great.
Oh, did we already started to move?
Started the move, yep.
Yeah, sorry.
We have
I was
13 meters to go.
fiddling with things.
Okay.
We're
With the
shallow now, things happen fast.
Looks like a small cat shark that we just
It
went
did.
over.
Yeah.
Lower left corner. And I think that's a
Undulating.
thorny head in the lower left right now. It's hard to see, but there's an anemone. Oh, maybe a split head just swam through. Yeah, the visibility isn't great yet, but I think it'll get better.
I'm gonna do a 20-meter grid, Bob.
Yeah, hang on. Really,
You like the other one?
what's that?
You want 50 or 20?
No, just let it. Hang on just a minute.
Yeah.
I get up there. We're like apparently facing to the current here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of ripping. Don't want to be an auto XY either.
But these little Dover soldi.
Oops, I was muted. Yeah,
Oh,
looks like a Dover sole.
no. Lots of cat sharks by the look of it.
Yeah. We also may see witch eel here as well. They were seen at the beginning of last year's dive that started in this vicinity.